What's going on, YouTube? This is Jimifanis, aka Viper Magic, and today I wanted to talk to you about the Order 1886. Now, I know this game has been out for a while, and I do apologize that I didn't get to it sooner, but I have so many games in my backlog, and finally the Order's number came up. I have been binge playing it for about a week. I just finished it about 15 minutes ago, and I decided I had to come down here and do a video telling you guys how amazing this game is. Now, I know that the reviews have been lackluster. I know that, but I'm not lying to you guys. This game is amazing. I wanted to show the collector's edition briefly. Obviously, I didn't do an unboxing video because I really wasn't thinking about it, I guess. I just wanted to rip it open and play with it. Anyways, this statue is called Galahad Under Fire. It was one of two collector's editions that was available with the game. I went ahead and got this one, although it was the cheaper of the two, because I actually like the statue a lot more. Obviously, it shows Galahad up against cover. See some bullet casings on the ground. It's actually a really cool looking statue. And I think it depicts pretty well what the gameplay is in terms of combat. So, with that, I'll turn the camera back to me so I can talk to y'all for a few minutes about it. Alright, so the deal with the Order 1886 is, yes, it is a very linear game. It's a game that takes place in, obviously, 1886 London, with the order of these knights who were not immortal, but pretty close to immortal, who have this vial called the black powder, or the black liquid, rather, and it gives them near immortality, superhuman healing, not necessarily lightning reflexes or anything, but they'll get shot and then you could just take this vial and you're healed magically. Obviously, that's the gameplay mechanic. When you get messed up, you can take the vial and you're back to business as usual. The game revolves around, I don't want to give too much away. It's a pretty intricate story, but it revolves around this order being called to investigate a series of mysterious murders by this town called Whitechapel. This area called Whitechapel, and these knights are called in to investigate, which unravels this huge mystery. You play exclusively as Sir Galahad. That's the guy in the statue. Now, I know this game didn't get good reviews, but it is really, really good. Graphics alone are unbelievably amazing. If you can recall the time that you saw the first cutscene in Final Fantasy VII, the one where Sephiroth comes down from the heavens and stabs Aerith, or even the loading screens, the loading cinematics of Final Fantasy VII, I think we can all remember how we felt when we saw those graphics. It was like unlike anything we had ever seen before. That just, wow, here we are 10 years later talking about how amazing that moment was. To me, that's what the Order's graphics look like in today's graphic world. They are unbelievably jaw-dropping, realistic graphics. And it looks like you're playing a cutscene. And it's so seamless, in fact, that when the cutscene switches to gameplay, for a few seconds I just stood there because I didn't know if the game was stuck in a loading screen or what, but it was actually gameplay. It looks incredible. The way your character is detailed, the way the world is detailed, is completely lifelike, completely believable. Yes, it is a linear game. I'm not denying that. Yes, there is a lot of dialogue that leads up to you walking in a very small area doing very specific things. Press triangle to open the door. Look at this picture on the counter. Flip it around in your hand. That sort of thing. But it all leads up to a very good story, and to me it paints a very vibrant universe. Could they have done better on what the universe detailed? Absolutely. I'm not saying it's a perfect game by any stretch of the imagination, but it gives you enough insight into the world, into this prestigious brotherhood of these knights, that really helps you understand what the Order is trying to accomplish. And just in the way that they talk, and just in the background, and just in the world, you get a sense that these guys are like the Jedi of their time. And if you're a Star Wars fan, obviously that reference probably makes a lot of sense. It's this very prestigious alliance of honed warriors, you know, defending the honor of their people, of this land and everything. And they're not police by any stretch of the imagination, but they're revered with such loyalty and royalty. And it really sets this great scene, and it really, for me, it really drew me into the story when you start to see Galahad uncovering this mystery and what's going on and how deep the mystery goes. Story-wise, amazing. Graphic-wise, amazing. There are some downfalls with both. One of the things that I was not a big fan of was the letterbox on the top and bottom. Now, this game runs silky smooth, 30 frames a second throughout, and never a stutter, never a hiccup. Everything looks amazing. It was very jarring for me because I had just picked up the Metal Gear Solid PlayStation Plus free download, which is 60 frames a second, and it is jarring when you play that and go back to Order 1886, but the level of detail, in my opinion, makes up for that lack of 30 frames, and I don't normally say that too often, but I gotta admit on this game it really did work. The letterbox, to me, is inexcusable. I didn't like it. It didn't hinder my gameplay in any capacity. I'd read some reviews where people were saying it was more difficult to aim their gun up or down. It was difficult because the world seemed like you were looking through a fisheye lens. I never encountered any of that. And in fact, quite the opposite. I thought the gunplay was one of the strengths of this game. And I was always in control of what my character was doing and what I was moving around and what I was seeing. It was annoying to see the letterbox at all times, and I felt like I was losing real estate on my TV when I didn't necessarily have to. I think it would have made for a better game experience if that was gone, but I guess my understanding is that was put in place due to the graphical limitation of what the PlayStation 4 could achieve in terms of optimization. So that was kind of a bummer that the letterbox was on the top and bottom, but I don't know the alternative. Maybe the graphics wouldn't have been as realistic, or maybe the frame rate would have stuttered. So considering that those two things were absolutely perfect, I guess the trade-off in place, I wouldn't say it can be excused, but I can understand it a little bit better. The sound effects in this game are incredibly amazing. There is a slew of weaponry to play from, and there's a lot of these corridor-type shootouts where these like sandbox areas where there's a lot of cover and you have to jump from cover to cover and try to flank enemies. Very similar to Gears of War, or any other third-person tactical shooter where you're bouncing from cover to cover trying to pick off the perfect spot, pick the perfect angle to take out your enemies. A lot of times you do have NPCs helping out, which are great bait for the enemies to shoot out where you sneak around back, but some of the guns in this game, and even the gun that the guy's using in the statue, it's a very rich, vibrant crack. The way the smoke comes out of it, I know that's obviously graphics, and I'm talking more about sound, but the way that the gun cracks, the way it echoes down hallways, all the different type of weaponry and how they play out is amazing. There are some really cool, unique weapons in this game. The laser gun is amazing. There's a gun that shoots this kind of powder that is ignited, which creates almost like a flamethrower, but in a very localized area. The grenade launcher was amazing, and even things down to like the hand cannon of the duelist pistols, which the way that they reverb and the way that they cracked, and they felt really throaty, as opposed to some of the one-off pistols that the guards use, which are very light and tinny. You really got a sense of the power that some of the arsenal that these knights carried around with them, and it really gave a sense of this nobility and this prestige, which I mentioned is very vibrant in the story. So my hat's off to the sound crew on that. That was amazing. The story is a bit short, though. I know a lot of criticisms were saying that the story ends when it just started to get good. I was wrapped up in the story from the very beginning. Whether it's because I'm just one of these fanboys for Arthurian legend, or I don't know what it is. I really did enjoy the story from beginning to end, and there were a lot of swerves in there that I did not see coming. Now, that doesn't mean people might not see through it quickly, but who the main villain is, and at least in this story, and what kind of the intention of people are going through, really caught me off guard, and I felt betrayed by a couple of characters that I had befriended in the game, and I really felt for Galahad, the plight that he went through and what he is going through. It really affected me, and I was like, man, this sucks for this guy. And I mean, I was really rooting for him, you know. I really wanted him to succeed. Whether he does or not, obviously, I'm not going to tell you. That's for you to find out. I will say that this game definitely set up room for a sequel. If it ended as it ended, I don't know. I guess I could be satisfied with it. I know the game didn't sell as well as it should have, so there may be some question as to whether or not there's a sequel. I surely hope there is, because there's definitely a lot more in this world to explore, and there's definitely a lot more in this game and in this genre that they can do to progress the story and progress the gameplay overall. It's one of those games, though, that you're going to play once and you're probably not going to play again unless you're a completionist and you want to grab trophies. Towards the end, trophies were popping almost annoyingly quick for me. A lot of them were revolving around how many, get 20 kills with this gun, get 20 kills with that gun, headshots, this sort of thing. And towards the end, the action is so intense. There's so many just long, drawn-out firefights. And you're constantly switching weapons, and you'll kill a guard and pick up his gun to kill the next guard to pick up his gun, and so on and so forth. So I was really racking up those achievements towards the end. It was a little bit distracting, and I don't know if that shows that the game is a little shorter than it should have been, that everything kind of crashes in together at the end or not, but for once I gotta say, getting all those achievements that fast was kind of like, oh, okay, I've kind of had my fill of this, but yeah, all in all, an amazing game, and I really just wanted to do this video to pay some fan service to this game. And when the game came out and I was debating whether or not to pick up my collector's edition from Best Buy, I read some of the reviews early on, and I was content that I was not going to get this game. I actually talked myself out of it, and I saw it sitting on the store shelf, and I didn't get it that day. If I recall correctly, that was the day that the Meta Knight amiibo came out at Best Buy. And I remember waiting in line to get my pre-order slip to go cash out on my Meta Knight. And I saw the game on the shelf after reading some of the reviews, and I said, you know what, I'm not going to get this game, and I'm just going to let my pre-order lapse. But I just saw the box, and I don't know what it was. Something about it drew me into it, and I am really glad that I did it. I'm really, really glad that this game came out, and I was cool. I was happy that I got I got a poster actually from a GameStop that I got hanging up in my game room of the Four Knights, basically a cover of the box art. So that's really cool. So I got some kind of memorabilia of the game. But if you haven't checked this game out and you're a PlayStation 4 owner and you did it because you read some poor reviews, this game particularly is one of the biggest reasons why I did my video a couple days ago about how I don't trust major game developer reviews anymore. I think they completely missed the mark on what this game was trying to do. And for me, it was an absolute home run. Will I say it's my game of the year? That's too soon to tell. I will tell you that it's one I will not forget anytime soon. I really fell in love with the story. I really fell in love with the characters in the world. And it was a really good experience. Yeah, it was sometimes a little bit quick time heavy where it shouldn't have been. Yeah, I felt maybe I could have been a little more, my freedom could have been a little more, given to me rather than forcing me to go down corridors and a lot of hallways and a lot of scripted events that I really had no control over. But everything that happened in the game made logical sense to me in terms of why I was going where I was going and what I was doing. And I think the plot as of a whole really benefited from that. And if it was more of like a playthrough video as opposed to a game, if that was the direction that Ready at Dawn was trying to make when they went through this game, I can't fault them for that. It's a little different than I think most people would expect, but there was enough for me to do as a player, and there was enough shooting in the game and enough quick time events and enough for me to do that made me feel like I was at least partaking in the story rather than just simply watching it. But I've rambled on long about this game enough. So I'm looking at my clock. It's been about 14 minutes now. If you have not played The Order 1886 and you own a PlayStation 4, do me a favor and check it out. Support this game, support this product, and I promise you guys, you will not be disappointed. As always, I want to thank you guys for watching. Please do a favor. Comment, rate, subscribe. Let me know what you guys think about The Order 1886. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.